Hello guys, it's me, Mama TND. I got here Habaduh, our champion of December 2024 35 pokes. Just a heads up, if you guys hear
Hello?
any babies in the background, please disregard. And with that said, take the stage, Habaduh. Welcome.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Uh,
How are you, man?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Um,
Took a while to set this up, but at least we still got it in a timely manner, I would say.
it's not too bad considering when the finals actually ended. That
Yeah. So, I have a couple questions for
was
you.
a week ago.
What was that?
Just finals, right? Just a week ago. It's not too bad.
Yeah, yeah, it ended about a week ago. Which honestly, best timing out of all the interviews so far. So, Shifty
Oh,
was definitely not a month
let's go.
after the after the tournament ended. So yeah,
My God, man, that's
you're
crazy.
new. You're new to 35 pokes. This is your first time joining the server, and here you are piling through everyone in the tournament. How does it feel to be a champion right now?
It was pretty good. Pretty happy. Um, it's interesting because when I joined the server, I was just looking for something to I don't know, because where do I start? I'm a draft player, right? That's where I came from. And I've been a little burnt out on draft lately, so I wanted to find something that I could do in the meantime while I took a break from that. And I was trying my hand at like a lot of letter formats, and I didn't really enjoy most of them. Uh, and I was browsing YouTube, and I came across Hunter's video,
Ah, yes.
and I saw your guys' 35 pokes format, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I'll give this a go and use this to like keep myself from rusting without, having to commit to playing in these winded tournaments. Which is ironic considering what I ended up doing, but
Yeah,
I definitely enjoyed myself.
that's awesome. Just a fun fact. Same thing. I joined the server after watching his video, so that
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
great
I
minds.
joined back in May when he was doing the video in May. Not May. Gosh darn it. April. April 2024. So yeah, actually, now you mentioned that you're a draft player, right? So I actually want to ask
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
tell me about yourself. What's your background in Pokemon?
yeah. I only really picked up competitive. I say only really like I picked it up in 2019, but like this is crazy. But like, I barely knew what Pokemon was going into like high school. like I and then some of my friends put me on it, and then towards the end of high school, I really started to get into competitive stuff. I saw Draft on YouTube, and I kind of dove in head first right before the COVID pandemic, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of climbed up my way through the draft scene. Um, and then, yeah, like I said, I was kind of, because it was COVID that got me into it, I kind of got used to competing nonstop. And yeah, eventually that caught up to me. This is how I find myself here.
That's definitely a time period to, I guess, cultivate some experience. Because I mean, a whole lot of nothing to do. So it's like, all right, well, let's just no life this for a while.
Yeah, as well, you know?
Awesome. Uh,
Yeah,
have you won anything else outside of this?
yeah. I've won a couple draft leagues. I've won a couple of draft tournaments. Um, yeah, not as much as I'd like, but um, I've won like I think some notable ones are I've won Draft Premier League, which is one of the two biggest draft team tournaments,
Mm.
and then I've also won Draft recently. partnered with Smogon, and they hosted their own team tournament called Draft. I think it's Draft Championship League, something like that, DCL, and I managed to win that as well. Um, so yeah,
So definitely a scary player, I would say. I,
yeah, got a bit of tournament experience under my belt.
nice. Well, actually, let's get into the meta that we just managed that we just ended up playing, which is December 2024. So tell me what's your opinion on the meta? Like,
Uh,
oops.
yeah, I mean, like, what do you mean specifically?
Uh,
Because I can, like,
like
I don't know, like, I enjoyed
let's
it.
say
It's fun.
what was like the team building experience?
Like,
Were you
yeah,
there? Were you there for
dude,
all the
the team building
bans and all
experience.
that?
Oh no, no, no. I actually, so I joined right after the low kick span.
Oh wow.
So I managed to miss all of that. So I'm only really familiar with the final form of the
So you
meta
literally joined
that
when
we went into the tournament.
everything was set in stone, essentially. Oh,
Yeah, pretty much.
okay.
Yeah,
So you basically had a better
and then that's
taste.
when I started like picking it up. Yeah,
Nice.
I think I got the best of it. I guess you can
Yeah.
say I didn't have to deal with all of these crazy broken Pokemon.
Yeah. So in the final state of it, the whole list of 35, what would you say? What was your experience? Like your opinion on the list, or whatever was
Oh,
considered meta.
Uh, I'm actually not super familiar with what other people considered to be good. I am aware that, like, I guess specifically, I know that Chandelure was really popular among a lot of other people. But I guess personally, I felt like when I was building, the only Pokemon that really felt extremely oppressive was Toxicroak. That guy is for sure like insanely broken, man. Like in this meta, he's like impossible to check. Um, Huge pain. Otherwise, like if you just like put your thumb over Toxicroak and you're looking at like all the other Pokemon, man, this meta is like really, really well balanced.
Oh, I just realized I got the wrong
Yeah.
graphic.
Oh,
I realized I put up the wrong graphic. I have
yeah.
Okidoki in the list.
Oh yeah. No, that guy, he's like Toxicroak, but on a little something.
Oh no, I mean, it was insane. The Like
I can
I would say
imagine.
that when it came down to the numbers of usage, here's the funny part. After it got banned, it still managed to have like what was it, like two 21% usage after it's already been banned and
Oh my God,
everybody else got more usage. Like
that's wild.
exactly.
That was the first one, right?
Yes, that was the first ban.
That's wild. Like, cause I don't know when did that happen? Like, how early into the month did that happen?
I'll be honest with you right now. I don't have the date specifically, but I would say it got banned pretty early. Um,
Like,
it was a suspect test.
it's,
Like it was a
it's
very
like what?
fast early on. Like basically the
I'll pull
council
some like
already had
estimates
its
out of my ass, I guess.
yeah, like the council already
Like, if
had
that's like a week, right?
yeah, about a week in.
Huh? Like something like that, we'll say. Like putting that into perspective is kind of crazy. A week worth of it being on the ladder, and then after a whole month, it's
You
still
could say
20% plus usage is
about like maybe 10 days, give or,
10
give or
days.
take.
It's still pretty
It's still pretty
crazy.
crazy, right? Exactly. 21% at the end. Uh huh.
Like, I mean, by comparison, Toxicroak came in like halfway through the month, and it finished with I know it finished with a lot less.
it
Maybe that's like
it had a lot of good.
I don't know why
I,
that
I
happened,
would
but
say 7% with only because that's also considering that there's not many ladder games happening towards the end of the month, and only the and
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
even sure if tournament replays are being counted because in tournament it was used a lot. So, um, yeah, I don't know if the tournament was counted, but if it was, I imagine it would have been more than 7%. And if it is 7%
I
included,
feel like I saw it
that's
more than
criminally
that,
underused. But it definitely was a threat.
definitely.
Definitely.
I didn't like that guy. Yeah.
Um. So yeah,
Yeah.
actually, let's talk about the finals. How what was your experience in the tournament?
The tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty interesting. Because I had the pleasure of facing a lot of previous champions. um, which honestly, like I couldn't have asked for a more fortunate lineup because I enjoy playing strong players, and it was a pretty fun run. I like I said, because I switched to this format with in the hopes of like having something more chill to do. So I didn't want to sweat my prep super hard. So my approach to each matchup was that I kind of when I got into the meta, I made like 10 teams probably. And I just like slowly tweaked them as the tournament went on and made like slight adjustments based off of what I thought my opponents would try to do. Um, Towards the end, it really became me trying to anticipate how my opponents might try to counter team me because I knew that I was really repetitive in the types of teams that I was using. There was one core in particular that I spammed pretty heavily.
Yeah, I think I perceived that in every
um,
single game that I watched from you. Like I feel like every you had the same team composition, but you had like different functionalities, or maybe you swapped out one mon or something, and it felt like you were constantly on your toes when it came down to like not getting countered. So kudos to you. That
yeah, yeah,
definitely made sure that you were not gonna get.
that was something. That was something I was like very, very aware of. Because I don't like using the like, especially for like a format like this. One of the things I have to say I'm unfamiliar with coming from draft. Your guys' tournament format having best of three is so nice, man. Not losing to like some crazy BS that happens in a best of one game
Mm-hmm.
is really, really reassuring. And it just makes for yeah a really nice format. And also it means that you can really there's a lot of mind games with the types of teams that you're
Mm-hmm.
using because your opponent from one game to another might want to adjust to uh yeah what you're trying to do,
Exactly.
which I wanted to not spam the same team over and over again because otherwise I'm not really making use of that. um yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. Like, I think the tournaments here, even though the player base is not as high in other tournaments per se, the tension that I feel when I play is like I feel like I have to be on my toes every single time, even in pools. Like, but in a good way. Like it's like trying to figure
Yeah, yeah,
out because there's metas where you could just build one perfect team, and you might not even have to worry about being counter teamed just because the team is that solid. And there's other formats that I mean, there's other metas where um, it's a lot of matchup fishing. So it's more like don't become counter teamed, essentially. So you have to have multiple
yeah,
teams. You have to, or at least have different game plans for how game one goes, or how game two goes, and especially in the finals with game best of five. That's a lot more prep that has to go into. So actually, yeah, how would you describe your finals experience? Like, how was your experience with finals?
my finals experience.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous. I did not prep properly for the finals. I was a little bit busy leading into it, and because the tournament had like it was a December tournament that was like pulling all the way into January, so I wanted to get it out of the way because it felt wrong to have the like the tournament last for too much longer. So because of that, I kind of neglected my prep for the final a little bit. I was like still confident in the quality of my teams, of course, but I didn't do as thorough a deep dive as I wanted to, especially for him, finals opponent, because he has a very interesting set of teams that he likes using. I noticed watching his like having followed his run up until the final, but yeah, I just like I had to settle for making like a couple of minor tweaks. I think the big ones was like a lot of my berserkers I opted to run a bit more Shuka because I saw he liked Auroras and Celebi, and I was afraid of getting caught out by Earth Power because Berserker really is not bulky, so it can't really take those hits very well. And then also opting for Taunt because I knew that there was a really scary Trick Room team that he often went to. Um, but outside of those like minor tweaks, I didn't really do much. I didn't like, which is like a shame because I did want to try to innovate more for the final, but yeah, I wasn't able to just with the time constraints.
So I pulled up here your victory card. Do you want to talk about your team?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we've been saying, the victory card is like representative of this score that I was using pretty consistently through the tournament with Berserker, Rosary, Pukumuku, Guzzlord. Um, it's a really interesting core. The idea behind it is, I guess I can break it down mon by mon. So Berserker was on the team because one of the things I noticed really early in the when I was making my teams in the meta was that like an enormous amount of the meta got completely destroyed by stealth rocks. So I really wanted to find a way to incorporate that into as many teams as I could,
Mm-hmm.
especially because of how dangerous those stealth rock weak Pokemon are. So like really crippling them is quite useful.
Right.
um, and when I was looking into all the rockers, I noticed that man, they really sucked
Yes.
this month. They were not good.
There are not that many.
And yeah, there's like a really small amount, like pool of options to pick from,
Mm-hmm.
and the only one that I was really comfortable with, after like doing some like theory crafting was Berserker. Specifically, it was between Berserker and Mawile because they're steel types
Yeah.
really, and the utility of their typing allows them to check certain Pokemon in spite of their extremely lackluster stats. I went with Berserker ultimately because it's just got more special defense than Mawile, which was really what mattered, the role I wanted
Yeah.
it for.
Yeah.
And in addition to its like extra special defense, it also actually isn't as passive as Mawile, where if you try to run this defensive Mawile, not only is it more frail, but it's just yeah, really, really easily abusable. Like for instance, if I try to use my steel type to check a Celebi, the Celebi can just set up in the face of a Mawile. It doesn't actually feel threatened, but Berserker threatens it with U-turn. Um, yeah, it's kind of like the idea with the Berserker. And it yeah, it matches up pretty useful. Like it has a pretty useful matchup into some key threats, um, notably like Roserade and Yanmega, who I think are like two of the very most threatening Pokemon in this meta. So having a Pokemon that can really uh, limit their effect in game is really useful.
Yeah.
Then Roserade was the best spiker by like a country mile. Hazards are like a cheat code, so having that was useful. But aside from that, it was incredibly difficult to switch into because all the steel types sucked. So it was just very threatening. And then in addition to like its utility, its offensive niche, it's also like the only dependable Primarina check. So Primarina was like the one of those guys who's like was nearly Toxicroak level in terms of its degree of threateningness, I guess. Is that even a word?
Yeah,
You get the
ended up
idea.
as top five in usage.
Yeah, that's appropriate. It's like super dangerous Pokemon. Roserade is like really the only way, I think, to consistently shut it down. I have like some other Pokemon that can soft check it, but they're really not that consistent, and they're also abusable, far more so than Roserade. So, and then next to this core was like Pyukumuku and Guzzlord. Pyukumuku, there's honestly not a whole lot to say about that guy. Pyukumuku is just a um, slow pivot that is like my check to Toxicroak and to Satitan. Because one thing I noticed, like Satitan, a lot of people, and like in general, you're kind of incentivized not to run too much speed on, like, say, if you're running Milotic in the place of your bulky water, or you have a Primarina that's just naturally slower. It's like really easy with rock support to just lose to Satitan because it's so fat. It's not difficult to find a belly drum opportunity, and yeah, it just like warps the way that you play games so much that I just did not want to have to worry about that because it would force me to like construct teams that don't give it the opportunity to belly drum, which is yeah a headache. And seeing as Pukumuku also accounted for Toxicroak, it seemed like a really convenient solution to that. Um, yeah, it's just yeah that's Pukumuku, and then Guzzlord was awesome to be honest. Like this guy, just blanket checks a million Pokemon in this meta. Like it's obviously the big one is Chandelure, but I think nearly as relevant as Chandelure. Maybe I'm overhyping this, but I think Scovillain was also extraordinarily
Oh
dangerous. If you didn't
yes.
have Guzzlord, your team lost to Scovillain on paper, like just straight up. There's very little to do about that. Like I'm really fortunate that I made into Scovillain um, at some point in the tournament, and I didn't have a Guzzlord on that team. It gave me a heart attack on team preview when I saw it because I was like, "Oh no, bro, I cannot!" Like it just like
Oh
Oko's
gosh.
nearly like 5 out of 6 Pokemon in this game, so if they get sun up, I might be cooked. Managed to squeak my way out with some really cautious play with a Magmortar. But yeah, after that, I was really reluctant to not have Guzzlord on my teams, just in fear of Scovillain specifically. And yeah, there's some other things that it checks as well. And with Assault Vest, is generally like one of the only sets that you'll really run on Guzzlord. Um, it can also just tank super effective hits as well, which lets it find mileage even in games where those key things that it wants to counter aren't there. Um, so yeah, like that core four just really enables you because it provides you with pivoting, provides you with consistent a consistent offensive base since you have like knockoff spam, you have hazards, you have a Roserade which can support any offensive core you want. Like it makes the last two slots really quite splashable. And then outside of that, you're really looking for on my teams. I liked having maybe like a win condition, um, and then a form of speed control, which you can see in this training card. I had Satitan and Yamega on this specific version of the team. I chose those two just because like Satitan is probably my favorite Pokemon from this month. Um, I would have had that guy on like half my teams if it weren't for the fact that Pyukumuku existed. I was like deathly afraid of pulling Satitan into Pyukumuku and just losing because of that. But yeah, that was a very cool Pokemon. And then Yamega was probably outside of that core four, one of the Pokemon I use the most, just because like yeah, it's very very stupid. The fact that it's like always one or two flinches away from just winning the game. It's just a
Definitely.
nightmare to play against and really easy to use.
Can easily steal the game.
Yeah, yeah. So even when you're in a tight spot, you know you always got a way to cheese your way through.
Exactly. No, the way that you're describing your team, it sounds like you basically broke down the meta. Like a common theme with all the champions, by the way, um, in the format, it's that they managed to crack the format. That's the way that um, some of us describe it. At least I describe it
That
like
makes
that for sure.
sense.
Like you see how they play consistently throughout the tournament, and it's like wow. And especially if they kept using the same core, it's like there's something about that core that like makes it
Yeah,
resilient.
yeah.
You know, and I can tell from your core that it's
I
like
mean,
okay, you got the best steel type from the bunch that doesn't let you get you killed by Young Mega immediately. You got Pyukumoku, which
yeah.
you justify as a slow pivot that doesn't let you get rammed by Satitan. So yeah, that's because most people were putting
Uh,
the Pyukumoku down. And the funny part is that you mentioned that it was supposed to be your answer to Toxic Croak. On our game,
yeah, yeah. There's a funny dynamic there.
on
Yeah,
our game, I was
is
like, what if I use Adamant Bandit? Oh, it's not a check anymore. Let's go,
yeah, yeah.
baby.
Because like this is the thing. I think it should like I should point out. I don't think I sold the meta. This is just like this was just the core that I found that like facilitated the way I like to play the most. I think though, like if you wanted to break down my style of play, all you have to do is like take a decent like defensive core that doesn't fold immediately and put a Toxicroak on it. And that guy would like single-handedly carry your offense. It's impossible to switch into.
Kind of like a
Like I
semi
said
stall.
that I liked Pikumuku for Toxicroak. Yeah, I guess yeah. I mean, you don't even like you could put like Toxicroak on offense. Like, it'll break down any team you need it to. Like I think that guy needed more usage. But like it just counters like my team
Mm-hmm.
straight up. And it like tears through Pyukumuku. I just hope that people wouldn't take it. And when people started taking it, I think you were the first guy.
Yeah.
I had to make a couple of adjustments. um, like I think I made like some bulky Chandelure team to with trick to try to force progress faster. I liked having I mentioned that I didn't like not using Guzzlord, but because of Toxicroak, I also liked using there was this other core that I really enjoyed, which is like a Volt Turn team with Rotom Frost and Zoroark. I like specifically because it gave me um, these offensive tools that allow me to outpace Toxicroak.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you like let people continue to play this meta, they'd eventually catch on to the fact that Croak like my Pukumuku's a check to it, but it just doesn't beat Croak.
No.
It's like a means to an end. It just lets me not lose to it immediately. Like, because the common sets for like Life Orb SD, which Pukumuku does check. If you ram Banded, the guy just dies. Like,
Yep. I did that on
like Pukumuku
purpose.
just doesn't
I did
work.
that on
It's
purpose.
like one of the things that you did. We saw like I think a lot of like one of the things that a lot of people tried was sub, which doesn't quite work because I just like because Pukumuku doesn't actually need to beat the Toxicroak. It's just a,
It's
like I
kind of
said,
like it
means to
serves
an
as a
end.
safe pivot.
I just need to
Yeah.
yeah exactly, and then I can baton pass, and there are ways around sub like
I
psychic
mean,
noise
I
for
saw that.
instance, which I started
Oh.
putting on. Yeah, I started putting it on a lot more with my Mega, but I also liked running that on like I made a very bumpy version of the team.
Mm,
But yeah, same idea.
yeah. To,
And then I think instead of sub, I was really surprised because like Fukuruku loses to taunt, man. If you wanted to counter Fukuruku, just run taunt. It gets no attacking moves. Like you click taunt and then you just do whatever you
you
want.
basically
And
turn it
like, what
off.
is the Pukumuku gonna do?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, pretty much. But
Yeah, that.
like any one of those things is still a huge problem for Pukumuku.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you like continue to play, people use this Toxicroak more.
Mm-hmm.
And because it has such easy counterplay, shutting down Pukumuku, um, eventually the meta would shift away from like my bulkier composition to like more fast-paced teams that just can out-offense the Toxicroak. Because I think like in the long term, that's the only real way to beat that thing consistently.
See, the thing is,
So I'm glad that
every.
didn't happen during the tournament.
Uh huh. Yeah. Like, the, 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 the funny part is that that's another comment that many of us have made is that if the meta would have continued, certain mons would have gained even more traction. Um, so like for example, Toxic Crow just didn't get time to be fleshed out. It was being literally fleshed out at the tournament, you know.
Yeah,
So Um, Definitely, if this month were to get, let's say, a retro, which honestly I think this month could be a contender of a retro. Um,
That'd be
I can see a lot of crazier things happening in the retro. Um, I noticed Cryo went up in usage a lot. After
yeah, yeah.
the what else?
Cryo was
Caracosta didn't get to be fleshed
specifically
out either. Um,
Cryo was like the best remover, I think, was its main niche because it could just be fast, soft check a bunch of things with its spit F,
mm-hmm.
and it was like the only dependable defogger. Which is a big deal in a format where one of the best ones is a ghost type,
Yeah.
a rapid spin. So
So definitely it would happen with a lot of the other months. I say the same thing about May all the time. I'm like, I feel like May did not get fleshed out completely. Apparently, a lot of people did not enjoy the meta, so whatever. um,
is that the main meta or the December
May
one?
2024. That's the one that I
Is there something wrong with that?
huh.
What was up with that meta?
Um,
Do people not like
it's
it?
kind of like basically half the list is unusable. I would say. I feel like
Oh,
that's
right.
that's what
Okay, I can
I feel like
understand.
that's something that makes, and then you kind of found yourself repeating the same three mons or something. Essentially, Alolan Raichu and Milotic were like almost in every single team, and if you didn't prepare for those two mons, you were basically just asking to lose essentially. Um, and I think Torkoal
That
was
makes
like the
sense.
best third mine because it was basically the easiest Stealth Rock and Rapid Spinner. It was by far the best Rapid Spinner. But yeah,
That sounds like an interesting
it's
meta.
it's definitely like in terms of the team building. Uh, I guess that's the reason why they didn't. A lot of people didn't like it either because it didn't feel like you could be creative. But I'm like, I would like to say otherwise. I mean,
There's always a way. Like,
exactly.
there's always a way to innovate.
I like to say otherwise. I mean, Art Book actually had a chance to do something, but I keep saying like,
Yeah, that's a good Pokemon, man.
yeah,
Nabok, believer.
yeah, but we're not gonna talk about May right now. But oh,
Yeah, next
maybe I can
week.
actually do a May video at some point. Um, at least we're gonna revisit it with the PL. I think. Um, I'm not sure if you want to be part of
Oh
that.
yeah, you guys are
That'd
hosting
be great if you
your own
joined that.
tournament.
I'm pretty sure anybody who's a captain,
I
they're gonna
consider
try
it.
to immediately snag you. I would say.
The thing is, like I said, because I'm trying to take it
Uh huh.
easy. I'm not sure if I should, but we'll see how it goes. Because I mean, sometimes I can't help myself.
Yeah.
Pokemon's
I
too
mean, it's
fun.
a team setting, so it wouldn't be like
Yeah,
all on you. But
it's not
regardless.
draft, which is or like I feel like draft, especially at like a higher level, like
Mhm.
prep gets a little bit too involved. I think it's a little bit too much sweating going on.
Mhm.
I've surely like other formats, team tournaments don't have the same degree of investment necessary. But we'll see how it goes. I'd
So
be willing to try it. I think it sounds fun. I do really like this format. I think the degree of like creativity that you get in building from meta to meta is extremely
it
fun.
is. Like, uh, I want to go to the next question because I know time is passing by. I'm not sure how much time you have, but I would add on one more comment is that yeah, like when I want you to know that this is what brought me back to Pokemon. I literally did not play Gen 8. I did not play early Gen 9. I came back to look at what Gen 9 was doing and I just did not like it. So I was trying to look at
Yeah, I
I
can't
was
blame
looking
you
at
for that.
alternative ways of playing and then that's how I came across Hunter's video. I joined in 35 books and here I am. And I say that I have had a lot of enjoyable experience. So I joined April. April, it's a 50-50 for a lot of people. I personally liked it a lot. May was is definitely my favorite. I guess it speaks as to why I won it. June, I think,
Yeah.
was a pretty epic format. Not the best, I would say, in balancing because it's a little matchup fishing. But I feel like it still had a lot of room to develop. July was a mess. August was probably the most competitive format, but I think it's like a callback to April in the sense that games can go up to 100 turns. So some
Ooh,
people don't like it, but I know a lot of people who enjoyed August. September, it was not for me. It was just not for me. A lot of people, some people liked it, some people didn't. It was not for me. Uh, October, I liked it. Some people didn't, but it was actually pretty fun because it was the first time and officially becoming a format in Showdown, and it had a ladder.
epic.
So we actually were,
That'll be so cool.
yeah, it was very cool. Like literally, just go into Showdown, click search game in Showdown, and then you're playing 35 pokes. That was so cool. Um, yeah, and then November was very funny. It looked like a month that I should have done well, but I was just not in the right mind. I was doing better in December,
I understand
so.
that
Uh,
happens.
but January, ooh, I love January. January is giving me
Yeah, I haven't really looked at January too much, but I'm definitely gonna have to take a look in the next week or two.
yeah, January is giving me the vibes just because of team building. Um, the matches themselves are all right, but the team building feels fun.
That's important, I think.
Yeah.
It's like the big draw of this format.
Although I would say that's just me saying it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people disagree with me. Checking Crawdon is a problem.
What's the? Let me take a. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Crodont looks
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Exactly. It's hard to
Oh
check,
my.
but we have literally
Oh,
itemless
Slowbros
shield.
and Clodsire.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah,
this. Yeah, okay. I can kind of see where this is
exactly.
going.
You could cook a lot of random stuff in there. That's all I know. Um, but yeah,
This looks like a semi-stall meta waiting to happen.
it could be. It could be.
I don't think it. I'd have to look more into it, but yeah.
Um, let's go back very quickly to December. So you said briefly that you weren't there for the bands. I was gonna say, what was your opinion on the bands?
No, I was.
But I didn't know that you didn't.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know anything about the meta before the
All right,
bans.
I'm just gonna skip over that. Let's actually jump into. Are there any mons in the month that you think were underused or underrated? So we already talked about Toxic Croak, but that's because it came in late.
Yeah,
Now
yeah. Um,
I would say for
I
sure Ukikumuku.
yeah. What are the usage stats?
Usage stats.
I don't know them specifically.
Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and send it to you so that you can
Okay.
see a visual of it. Uh, wait. Okay. There. So I sent it to you.
Okay, cool. Well, this
Actually,
looks great.
yeah, I might as well put it here as well. Um,
Yeah. So, a couple things that stand out to me. I don't understand the Milotic usage. I'm not trying to like. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that Pokemon in this meta. It feels like yeah, maybe I'm too Toxicroak pilled, but I wouldn't touch Milotic in a meta where Toxicroak is like impossible to beat.
so I'm gonna give you
I
context.
think
It was used a lot during Okidogi.
okay, yeah. So it's like inflated from early in the month.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I think yeah, I think some Pokemon that should probably deserve to see more usage. Berserker, so like a standout. I think that is like a really underused Pokemon. Like seeing Mawile with more than twice the usage just feels a little bit wrong. I presume that like Mawile must have been a first step check early in the
it
meta, like low
was
kicks, Okidogi and
it
such.
was only for low kicks, for sure.
Only for low kicks,
For
yeah.
sure.
Okidogi probably just 2 is it?
Um,
Uh,
for
yeah.
me, the
I think
most
other Pokemon. I think yeah,
I think you mentioned it earlier
maybe
too.
Mega, bro. Like
S-
18% on Mega.
the Skull Villain.
That guy's like
Look
Scovillain.
how
Yeah.
low it
Also, I
is.
don't know. Scovillain is tricky.
Look how
Four is definitely not quite right
exactly.
because I think is even into Guzzlord, I think a well constructed Scovillain team because you only need Scovillain and like some fastball that can like tech on Sunnydale,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can just construct the rest of the team completely normally.
Exactly.
And like there are so many things that like put enormous pressure on Guzzlord. Because like I said, like it's really useful, but sometimes it can be like overwhelmed because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Morpeko, Shandy,
Primarina.
the hazard presence, like there's like so many things that put a lot of pressure on the Guz. And as soon as it gets like chipped to a certain degree, Scrivenin just completely eviscerates most teams. So definitely an underrated Pokemon. Uh, yeah, I think like Magmortar a lot as well.
Me
Actually,
too.
I think this is to do with the fact that I don't like Milotic, so I didn't rate the only two waters I really like are like Puku and Prim. Prim is incredible, but it's not sustainable defensively, which means that, especially with Mag being faster, it can open up later into the game. And Pukamuku is just not a Mag Motor check, which leaves like Guzzlord again, like this guy's holding the meta together. um,
You don't like Haracosta?
yeah, I think Acosta, nah. It felt like it was too slow and not strong enough. You Shell Smash and then you still don't kill like half these Pokemon with Stone Edge, assuming you hit. And there's like a bunch of Scarfers that outrun you
An
still.
interesting caveat to
Just really
Caracosta
bothered
is
me.
being heavy duty boots with Aqua Jet for revenge killing.
Yeah,
And you
it's
can also
it's
have
sturdy
you
is
can also
definitely
make
a
it bulky
cute little thing it has.
for utility. But
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't have the defensive profile to justify its utility because it just gets eviscerated by a lot of coverage. It's fantastic against like Meg, I guess.
and
But like
Chandelure.
Scoville and Shandy are two fire types that like Shandy gets E-ball, right? I think most sets run it.
If the Morpeko is low, it
Because
kills the
like unless you have your
Morpeko.
sturdy and tag, yeah. I mean, Aqua Jet's useful in utility. I just felt like if I wanted priority, there are better Pokemon that provide a bit of roll compression.
Yeah.
Just felt like a little bit awkward to build around just because like I don't know, after a shell smash it's not it still requires a lot of conditions to be met
Mm-hmm.
to actually threaten the sweep,
So
which
Titan
yeah,
was a better
it felt
sweeper,
like a lot of
I feel.
yeah, exactly. I think Satitan just needed like if there's a fire type, just like hit it with rocks once or twice, it dies to ice shard, and then think outside of that, you just had to get rid of Pukumuku, and then Sataden would like immediately win the game if it got a belly drum off. Just like kind of stupid, kind of silly. There are like a couple of other niche checks like Sturdy Boots, Pokemon, Caracosta, Everlug. The meta, neither of them saw a huge amount of usage.
Yeah. I feel like
Um,
just the one that screams for sure, like that's wrong is Skull Villain. Toxic Rub because it, didn't get time.
yeah,
And seeing how good you perform with Pyukumuku, probably Pyukumuku as well.
I mean, yeah, I don't. this might sound a little crazy. I think Pukumuku is a bit better than Milotic.
Again,
It's
in this current state, for sure, as a defensive wall, for sure.
yeah,
Um, like yeah, I just didn't find use for Milotic after all the bans,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's just difficult when like is I think like probably like four best Pokemon. I'd say Toxicroak, Roserade, Rotom Frost, and Mega. Melodic loses to all of them. I think it can beat Mega. It's not consistent in doing that. It doesn't hit the Mega very hard. Um,
actually,
you can like Giga Drain your HP back, air slash flinch, down Milo with Toxic and such.
give me. Actually, you know what? Let's end it. Let's end it with this. Give me your top five
Huh?
mons, like your actual top five
My top
mons for
five. All
this
right, so
matchup.
we got four of them. So number one, Toxic Kirk, easy. Number two, um, maybe there's some bias here. I think Roserade, the offensive niche it provides, the utility, the defensive profile. This Pokemon is like insanely splashable, and just very, very, very good. And number three, probably Omega. That guy is just he's a he's a silly guy. Can just win games
Just
for
stealing
just out of nowhere
games,
for no
left and
reason.
right.
Yeah. And then Rotom Frost number four. I think this guy pretty slept on as well. He's similar to Toxicroak. He's completely unwallable. The only difference is that he's weak to rocks and has to click Blizzard, which is a bad move. I did use it a little bit, and I didn't ever click Blizzard, and I still got plenty of value out of it because you can just vault forever. A metagame with no ground type.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so like Rotom is like extremely, extremely good
I
as
mean, there
well.
was one
And
ground
then
type, but it wasn't used
yeah,
defensively.
and I actually no, not really. And how could it be? I mean, guy, but
Okay, and that's four.
not the greatest Pokemon. And then number five, I'd have to say this one's pretty tricky. I'd probably say it's Primarina. Close to being as good as the top four, but Roserade limits it. But in spite of that, I still think it's right up there because it's just like eviscerates everything else. It's like a best of the rest, I guess you can call it.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
sounds good. All right. Do you have any closing thoughts before we end this?
Um.
Anything random you want to share? Anything interesting?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably January try if I make some good teams. I might even sign up for the tournament and play some games. If I don't, then you might see me again in March. We'll see.
We'll see then. Well, I appreciate Habaduh for joining me here with the interview, scheduling this to get together, and it was a nice talk. Definitely a nice talk. Um, I'm really bad at saying
Yeah,
goodbye,
I enjoyed it.
so
Appreciate
and
you having me here.
everybody watching, thank you for joining, listening over to this very informative 35 Pokes interview with our December 2024 champion. Congrats again. Um, you're in this exclusive club of people who join the server and just win. um,
But yeah,
so
let's go.
welcome to the club. Anyways,
Oh, you did it too?
yeah,
Yeah?
I joined April, but the tournament already started, so May was the next one,
Ah, yeah.
and I won May. I think Senor
See,
Lopez is
man,
another
look what I'm
one.
saying. Like,
Turtle did that.
dude,
Uh,
great minds, bro. We both coming off a Hunter video with our first tournament.
I wonder how many more Hunter followers are gonna join and win.
Man, this guy's just like bringing in champions left and right.
He won July, by the way. So
Oh, good on
yeah,
him.
he no, he definitely
Surely
he
he'll make a
definitely
video
nailed
on it,
July.
right?
He definitely nailed it. But yeah. All right.
Surely he'll make a video though. Eh,
Hopefully he'll come back to doing
eh.
videos at all. I haven't seen a video in a while.
Makes good content. I hope he
Yeah, he
does.
does. Hunter, if you're hearing this, make a video.
Hey, bro, go for it, man.
All right.
Fans want more.
Fast, do one more. We love you. All right, Habaduh, thank you for joining. Take care of yourself. Everybody else, take care of yourself. Join the Discord, play some 35 posts if this is your first time hearing about this. And yeah, hopefully I see you in the January tournament. Later.